Hi, everyone. Welcome to the session, to this webinar on leading yourself first, personal discipline, focus, and consistency. Those are the topics which we are focusing on in this particular session. And of course, since it is just the January, I know it's already the 20th of Jan, but Happy New Year to all of you. And that's why we are focusing on this particular topic where we are looking at how to start your year by mastering yourself before trying to master your goals, right? And of course, we will explore more about this. A quick confirmation from everyone. I hope you can hear me and see me clearly. You can send messages in the chat window confirming that. Oh, perfect. Yes. And of course, you can react as well using thumbs up. That's great. Perfect. Awesome. So, welcome to this webinar once again. Quickly to tell you about me, my name is Vivek. I am a soft skills and leadership skills trainer, a facilitator. Been doing this for quite some time, 15 plus years, right? And I'm here with this particular topic for all of you. A quick fun fact about me as well. I'm based out of Bangalore, and a quick fun fact, I'm a certified scuba diver, just for you to, kind of connect to that if you are into that as well. Perfect. So with that, let's get started and let's talk about this. I see we are about a 90 of us, which is great. Thank you so much for joining in. And I believe we come from different roles, different backgrounds, different experiences, right? Different cities, and that's brilliant to have that here. So while we are interacting with each other, of course, you will not be able to unmute yourself. Do send me reactions, thumbs up, hearts from time to time, and of course, use the chat window to answer the questions that I have for you today, right? Now, a couple of things to know about this session that we're going to focus on. It's about how practical we need to be with the concept of leading self. And it's not going to be a motivational hype. I'm not going to give you any kind of motivational speech, right? Because motivation is temporary. And we're going to focus more on self leadership from a skill perspective and not a personality trait, right? The session is more about becoming a consistent version of you. And I'm going to tell you that that's what is enough. You don't have to become a superhuman to be leading yourself, right? And that's the whole intent of this session. A lot of reflective questions that you will see, a lot of reflective thoughts and frameworks and ideas that I will share with you. So think about those, relate to previous experiences, and I'm sure you will gain a lot of reflection there, right? A lot of perspective from that. Perfect. So let's go ahead quickly. The agenda of the session, we are focusing on building daily discipline and focus in this particular topic. We are also going to take a look at how to create consistency without burnout, right? When you try to achieve it all, you burn out. And that's why consistency, even if it's not 100%, if you just do 10% consistently, that's what's enough, right? So we're going to focus on that. And we're going to take a look at the intent. How do you translate your intent into execution? Because all of us do have that intent, we do come with that goal, but execution is what we struggle with, right? So let's go ahead and let's take a look at why this particular topic matters. Why do we need to start from this, right? So as I said, most of us know what our ambition is. We know what our goals are, but it's not that we fail because of lack of these goals, right? Because of lack of the ambition. We fail because of consistency, right? And as I said earlier, motivation is temporary, and this is one of the reasons why people enroll to gyms right at the beginning of the year, because there is that motivation pump that they have. But by March, gyms are empty, right? And nobody has, I mean, if people really had motivation working from them, everybody would have achieved their goals by March and they would leave the gym, right? Gyms would be empty, but they're not. It's a consistency that matters, right? Okay, perfect. So that's number one. Second thing, of course, is when we talk about self leadership, when you're looking at becoming a leader in the future, before you lead any team, before you lead others, before you lead any organization, leading self is the most important aspect that you need to work on. It is the invisible but very decisive aspect of leadership, right? And when we talk about results, as I said, we all know the goals, but results are the byproduct of this consistency, this focus that we build in. Yeah. So most people know they should exercise. Most people know they need to focus better or speak up, speak better, be able to present, right? Knowledge isn't really missing. It's the consistency that's missing. So let's go ahead. It's about uh, doing what's right, even on a boring, tired, and unmotivated day, right? Okay, a quick question for all of you. Respond in the chat window. If you had to answer this in one word, what usually breaks your discipline? You have certain options here, but if you have something else on your mind, do share that in the chat window. Is it distraction, fatigue, procrastination, or overthinking? And if you're hearing the word procrastination for the first time, it is when you keep pushing the work for the last minute. Okay, I see lack of motivation, procrastination, distraction. A lot of distraction is showing up as an answer here. Also procrastination, a few fatigue as answer, loss of focus. Okay, absolutely, which is distraction. Fatigue always. Okay, great. Keep sending me your answers. Too many tasks at the same time. No priority. All right. Absolutely, right? So, as I mentioned earlier, we all come from different walks of life. But if you look at the reasons which we are seeing here, a lot of you are saying distraction is a common reason for your discipline being broken. Overthinking is another one, right? Procrastination is another common reason. So the reason is similar for a lot of us, which because of which the discipline is broken, right? The pattern kind of says it that it is a human struggle, it is a human tendency to not be able to continue with that discipline, which comes with that sudden burst of motivation, but then it does not really, go on forever. Correct? And that's where we need to focus on creating a system around it. It's not like discipline is something which you can just tell yourself and do. It's not the willpower that controls it. It's about the system that you build around making sure that you follow that discipline, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Let's take a look at what is self leadership, a view of what self leadership contains, the ability that we need to have to be able to lead self, right? So it's about how you act without supervision. Self leadership is primarily about that. When no one is watching you, when you are in a moment where you could be just sitting in your couch resting, what do you choose to do? Do you choose to continue to do what you would do when others are watching you? Or do you just give up on things that you need to do, right? So it's about that. How do you choose to act when people are not watching you? Correct. So there are these three main abilities that come together for self leadership. Number one is the choice that you make, and you need to be conscious with that choice. I did see a couple of you mentioned too many tasks in hand. I do understand when others are giving you tasks, it does become difficult to pick one. But then for self, you need to choose what is your focus area. You need to choose consciously which ones you want to work more with. And then you, of course, need to look at how you act intentionally, right? You need to intentionally put efforts towards a particular task that you have chosen, the choices that you have made, and focus on that. And then, of course, stay consistent when no one is watching, right? It's all about consistency. It's about the small moments. It's not about those big events, correct? It's about when you're alone, when no one is seeing you, no one is monitoring you, whether you are preparing for the meeting that you're going to have tomorrow, right? Whether you are preparing for that session that you want to take tomorrow, correct? So that's what self leadership is. When no one checks whether you are actually focusing on your results or you're scrolling reels, correct? What do you choose to do? Leadership starts there. So when all of these come together, that's what forms self-leadership. And if you have to define it a little further, before leading your goals, teams, or careers, it's leading yourself, right? That matters. Perfect. So let's go ahead and we are going to take a bit more detailed view at discipline and focus. Let's do a bit of reality check first. Let's break some myths around these factors. Number one, discipline is not equal to motivation, right? As I said earlier, motivation is temporary, it is unreliable, and discipline is not built around motivation. Motivation alone cannot pump it for you for a long time. So that's number one myth. Do not keep this in mind. That's why we need to build systems around this. Number two, focus is not equal to doing more. So when we say that, hey, in a day I was busy for 14 hours, 15 hours working, that is not what focus is. Focus is about in a particular moment for a particular duration, how much you were able to achieve or do on a particular thing, right? It's not about spending long hours on random things, on multiple things. Okay, it's about the conscious decision that you made earlier and how much you're able to focus on that. And then consistency is not equal to intensity. Again, when it comes to saying, that you are able to work on something on a regular basis, long hours, that's not what consistency is. Consistency is showing up even if you had to show up for 10 minutes. Let's say you had to you could not go work out that particular day. If you just take 5 or 10 minutes, do a few exercises at home, go for a walk even if it's late after dinner, because you could not do it during the day. That is what consistency is, right? You do not break that streak. Okay. All right. And if you have to pick up anyone's example, anyone famous, right? Let's say Elon Musk, or let's say, I don't know, just pick up anyone famous, your favorite actor, or anyone who you admire, Warren Buffett. They will talk about how consistently they showed up, even if it was a boring, unmotivated day, right? So it's about how you build on those ordinary days when there is no motivation around you. Okay, so if you have to talk about the three pillars of self-leadership, and this is what we need to develop to be able to consistent, right? So this is what we need to develop the systems around. Number one is clarity. You need to know what matters to you, what matters now, correct? What is it that you want to focus on this week, this month, today, and then you slowly build upon that. That's number one. That's your clarity. Number two is control. This is where you choose your response over reaction. When you're bored, do you choose to pick up your phone? Do you automatically pick up your phone and scroll Instagram? No, you need to have that control. You need to keep your phone away so you don't automatically pick it up, right? You rather have to maybe go pull up a couple of, do a couple of push ups and get started with what you need to focus on, correct? That's what control is. And again, it's not easy to do this. We need to make sure that we realize and we normalize the struggle that all of us go through, right? It's not easy to have that control, but it's about what you choose as a response in that moment. Yeah. And consistency is about repeating small actions. It's not about the big events. It's not about just sticking to 1 hour of what you wanted to do every day. It's about making that small progress every day, making sure that you do what you told yourself that you would do, right? So, knowing today's priority, instead of 10 tasks that you want to achieve, focus on that one or two things that you want to close today, right? That's your clarity. And when we again talk about control, you need to pause before replying. Let's say there is a particular message that someone sent to you, or someone said something to you which triggered you, right? Do you choose to respond to that? Do you pause before you send the email that you typed, right? Or do you pause before you send that message that you typed, which could have been rude? That's what control is. Yeah. And of course, consistency is what comes as a result of when we choose to respond, right? Okay, perfect. So let me ask you this quick question. Which out of these three pillars is hardest for you right now to adopt to implement? Send me your messages in the chat window. Control, clarity, yeah. Yes, I see mixed responses here, clarity, control, as well as consistency. Keep sending me the responses. And now, if you have to look at it, consistency obviously is the third step in the three pillars, right? If you don't have the clarity, if you don't have that control, consistency would definitely not come, right? So, first we need to have that clarity. So, for the folks who are talking about clarity, it's about picking up the priority that day, that week, that month. And if you're not able to achieve what you have prioritized, you need to reduce it further. Just pick one thing that day that you want to close, right? Or that week. And that's how you will be able to then add on more. If you don't have control, you need to build systems around it. Let's say your phone is the biggest distraction. When you're working on something, your focus time, 1 hour, you keep your phone away in a locker, far away from you in another room, so that you can focus only on that and not get distracted. If Outlook notifications distract you, if Teams notifications distract you from your colleagues, email notifications, you need to put yourself in do not disturb so those notifications don't come and you are able to focus on what you need to achieve, right? Only then you can build that control. And then you will be able to work on the consistency, just doing whatever you need to do, 5 minutes, 1 hour, right? Hi, Sahil. Thank you for highlighting that. The echo sound. Are others facing similar issue? You all hear echo sound? Okay. All right, Sahil, it could be an issue on your end. So do see if it is the headphones that you're using. Try to fix that. Maybe it will fix the issue. Thank you so much for bringing that up, though. Let's move ahead, right? Now, building daily discipline, how do we do it, right? It's not about the force, it's not the willpower, as I mentioned, that helps you with that discipline. Willpower is again temporary, it will fade, right? In the morning, you feel all motivated, but by the afternoon, your energy falls down and your willpower is gone. And that's where we need to create the environment around it. Same example of the phone, right? Keep your phone away, distractions away if that's what's affecting your consistency, right? Another example of this would be, let's say you have decided to go to the gym every day this week. Make sure that your gym clothes are ready at night itself, the previous day, so that the next day your excuses to not go to the gym are lesser, right? And that's how you need to create the design, the systems around making the discipline happen, right? Okay, so discipline works when it is predictable. So the moment you have created the support system around yourself to be able to do something, you will most probably do it because you're giving yourself less reasons for not doing things, right? It's the design that you're working on because the design beats the effort that you need to put in to take the take that particular step when it comes to discipline. Yeah. So that's how we need to build the discipline. I would like to quickly hear from you in the chat window if there is any thoughts that come to your mind about building the systems and the design for the discipline around you. Just like keeping the phone away, keeping your gym clothes ready. Uh, you know, let's say when it comes to procrastination, how many of you tried just getting started with it, with the work? Doesn't matter how demotivated you're feeling, when you just get started with the work, you automatically feel interested, you automatically start to work on it, and then you move ahead with it, right? So give me a thumbs up if you have experienced that. You're not feeling like doing it, but when you actually pick it up, you do make progress, right? So it's about that. And do send me some more suggestions, some more thoughts that come to your mind when it comes to building this kind of discipline. To do checklist or goal tracker. Yes, Tushar. Now, when it comes to goal tracker, you can definitely build the goal tracker and the to-do checklist, but then you would also have to create some systems around that to-do checklist or goals that you want to achieve, right? And again, as Hero said, it lasts for a few days. That's why we need to build the systems, right? So the discipline stays. Listening to mind relaxing music and try to focus. So let's say, again, this is something that you might want to just keep ready whenever you want to do this, right? Sometime before that itself. Purnima, that's a very good thought. Stop thinking and just start it, and gradually you will get interested on it. Absolutely. That's how you beat procrastination. Just pick it up, sit in front of what you need to do, keep away distractions, and that's how you do it, right? Maybe think about your workstation itself, the place where you work from. How far is the television from there, right? How far is the window from there? Because anything happening outside the window might distract you. So you need to make sure that you are just looking at your workstation, the wall, and nothing else that can distract you in that moment. And that's how you create these designs around it. Yeah. Always think of reading something or learning something new during my work hours, at least for half hour, because of whatever reasons, not able to understand how. Absolutely, right? So you just gotta have to do it, even if you do it for 5 minutes, Rashmita, it will bring in that consistency, right? It's about making sure. Let's say you want to read something, you want to pick up something, you keep it ready. If it's a hard copy of book, you keep it by the side, of course, not during focus hours, but the time around the time when you want to read it, keep it right next to your laptop, and maybe you will pick it up and just do it for 5 minutes, read it for 5 minutes, right? And that helps. Gaurav says, I'm a perfectionist by nature. Everything is good unless an external force forces me to not do the things. Example, overwhelmed with other tasks, left fatigued, loss of consistency. Absolutely. And this particular nature of finding perfection, finding completion is what kills your consistency, right? It's not about that. It's about just doing it, even if it's 5% of what is perfect for you. It is okay. It's about consistency. It's about settling with less but consistent. Yeah. All right. Great. Let's go ahead. I have another quick question for you. So there is this, rule that we can talk about when it comes to consistency, the minimum standard rule. So when we talk about perfectionism, when we talk about all or nothing, that is a bad mindset for consistency, right? Do not go with that. That's the mindset that we need to change. The mindset that we need to work with to build this consistency is never zero. You're not going to end your day with a zero on your priorities, right? You are going to have something done on that front, even if it is just 1%. It is okay, but you need to be consistent, right? So forget all or nothing. That's a bad rule, does not work. And here are some of the examples. 10 minutes of workout or even 5 minutes of just doing some basic exercises, a quick walk is better than no workout that day. At least you are maintaining your streak, right? And that's where you also need to be less hard on yourself, correct? You don't need to say that, hey, I wanted to do this and I just could not do it. And because of that, you will spoil your next day as well, right? You will tell yourself that I could not do entire 1 hour today, but I did take that quick walk, 5 minutes, and that means that I did put in effort. And that will help you with your encouragement for tomorrow, right? And this goes to what Rashmita mentioned. Even if you just read one page, that is good enough as compared to no reading. Yeah, one action, 1% of whatever it is that you need to do is much better than 100% when it comes to building a consistent habit. Something is better than nothing. Absolutely. That's the idea that we need to work with. That's the mindset that we need to develop, right? One paragraph, if you're writing something, one paragraph is better than waiting for that inspiration and then writing the whole book together, because that's not going to happen. So that's where, some of these things that you always wanted to do come into play. Let's say if you wanted to learn how to play an instrument, or if you wanted to pick up a new skill and develop that, you want to draw or paint from time to time. Or let's say you want to learn how to work on AI, right? How to develop tools using AI, and you're waiting for that perfect moment to start because you're not finding time, it's not going to come. If it's your priority, start it today. Even if you just spend 5 minutes today, spend 10 minutes tomorrow, 1 hour day after, and then again 5 minutes the day after, it's okay. But be consistent every day, right? That's the whole point. So at this point, I would actually want you all to write down and reflect upon what it is that one thing that you are pushing for a long time, right? Write it down in a piece of paper and tell yourself what will you do about that one thing tomorrow. Yeah, starting tomorrow, and if not tomorrow, starting today. I'll give you a minute. Give me a heart if you've done that. Sure, Hero, let me repeat. I want you to write that one thing that you have been pushing for quite some time. It could be learning an instrument, it could be reading a book, it could be picking up a skill, it could be learning AI, it could be any of that. Write it down, something that you've been pushing for quite some time. And also write what is that one thing that for tomorrow about that thing. I'm reading a book which I started reading. All right. Okay. So basically, you just need to, even if you do read a page, one page every day, you gotta tell yourself, I'm gonna read at least one page a day, right? If I'm not completing the whole book in within this week, that's okay. But every day I'm gonna read some. Perfect. Awesome. So this is for reflection. Uh, that's something that we will again get back to towards the end of the session. Now let's break it down further. So when it comes to focus, it's about removing the clutter, right? Focus is not something which is, it's not something which just comes to you automatically. It's not about something that you can build. It's about what you can remove from the equation, remove things which are not allowing you to focus, right? Again, as humans, when you find something interesting, and we are talking about some of the goals that you want to achieve, right? Some of the things that you want to do. So you will definitely find these things interesting. So it's about removing some of the uh, interruptions. It's about removing some of the uh, focus stealers, things that are stealing your focus, right? Which you have been tolerating for quite some time. Examples of this uh, are notifications, let's say, right? So, a question for all of you: how many of you have switched off all the notifications on your phone from all various apps except the most important apps, right? So let's say your messaging app, your calling app, your banking app, except these, have you switched off notifications from all the other apps? Give me a heart if you've done that in your phone. Okay, great. That is amazing. That is brilliant. So the group has automatically worked on this particular piece quite a bit, and that's amazing, right? So that's how we remove some of these the clutter which interrupts your flow, which distracts you, right? It's about improving your focus, removing these distractions, right? So ask yourself what more could be stealing your attention when it comes to you working on something. And you need to focus on removing all that clutter, mental clutter, physical clutter, right? And that's what helps you. Another example of this would be, let's say if you have a table at home, that's your workstation, how cluttered that table is, right? So if there are things which are unnecessary and they are on the table, they could be distracting you. And you need to remove that physical clutter. Similarly, you need to remove mental clutter, right? If there are 10 different things that you're focusing in a day And because of that, you're not able to work on your priorities. You need to reduce some of the things which don't matter that much. Yeah. So the whole idea is encourage subtraction, not addition. Multitasking does not really help you become a master of that one thing, right? Too many priorities mean no priority in a way. So think about this particular question. What can you remove instead of adding? And I would like you to answer this if something that comes to your mind uh, about developing focus by removing things. What it is that one thing that you can remove? Okay. What can you remove instead of adding? Rashmita, that's a wonderful thought, and I think of course, it's a beautiful experience to go through, but at the same time, yes, it does become your priority, and that's why some of the things that you wanted to do, you need to keep them in the back burner. But again, focus would be just picking one thing, right? Just one other priority other than taking care of the kid, and then see what systems you can design around it. Maybe involve your kid into it, and that way you will still be able to do it. Laziness, all right? Finding the perfect time to do things. Absolutely. There's no perfect time. It's now or never, isn't it? Stars will never align sometimes. And if we wait for them, it becomes a celestial event. And we don't have time for that, right? Life is short. Perfect. And you can see phone is definitely the biggest distraction of this day and age, right? We need to keep that thing away. Keep blocks of when you want to scroll on your phone, right? And only then you reach out to the phone. Otherwise, when people need you, when people want to reach out to you, they will call you. You don't have to sit there waiting for their message or waiting for their call, right? They will call. And that's when you can go check your phone, or you can call back when you are out of your focus time, correct? Social media, absolutely the biggest distraction. Instagram, all the scrolling of reels that we do, and that has gotten us addicted. There is this effect called Zeigarnik effect, and which this thing gets you addicted to scrolling to the end of the page, and that's what just keeps us distracted big time from everything else that we need to do, right? Okay, perfect. So moving on from focus, let's talk about one habit you want to make non-negotiable this year, right? So let's share that in the chat window. Good messages coming up on about social media apps, how we have tried to delete them, but then it comes back. Yep, that's the addiction. The dopamine. Brilliant thoughts coming here. Sleep on time, sitting with myself at least 15 minutes, right? So it doesn't matter if you're not able to do 15 minutes, 5 minutes every day is good enough, right? At least consistency beats intensity. That's the whole point. Drink enough water. Creating design around it would help, making sure that you always have that bottle somewhere nearby, somewhere in the reach, so you don't forget drinking from it, right? And that's the system that we're talking about. Use Instagram on mobile sites, so no reels there. Yeah, that's a beautiful point. If you can follow that, that's absolutely, wonderful. Meditation, learning, upskilling. Brilliant. Pradeep, you are attending this session, and we are starting from self-reflecting on self-leadership, and that's a good start. That's beautiful. So you're already checking that box. Having 10 minutes walk as a break. Nice, nice. Brilliant, brilliant points coming through. Right, so remember, it's not about the perfect time that you will find and be able to execute it with perfection. It's not about that. It's about doing it every day, making it your priority, creating design around it, right? And just being showing up, just showing up and doing it, right? Okay, perfect. Let's go ahead and let's talk about consistency a little bit more, right? So, how do you build consistency? Now, burnout comes from intensity, correct? When you are just trying to achieve a lot and you're not able to meet all of those tasks, you're not able to complete all of them. And that's when you start to feel burnout because your brain tells yourself, being that self critic, the brain tells you that, hey, you're not doing enough to be able to completing all the tasks, correct? So when it comes to that consistency, when it comes to building the discipline, you need to include the rest in it too. You can't say that in a particular day, out of 10 hours that you're awake, you're going to be working all 8 hours. You cannot do that. You need to bring in recreation. You need to bring in the time for the calls, the distractors that you have, right? Calls, the time for food. You need to definitely make time for social interactions, correct? So that needs to be built into your discipline. Okay. And when it comes to the pace of how you achieve things, it's about the pace that you maintain over a period of time instead of speed that matters more, right? So when it comes to, if you have to think about your own examples, there were times when you started to work on something and you were able to achieve quite a bit, right? You felt like a performer, but then you quit because it's not because you're weak. It's just because you feel the burnout and then you need rest, and you've not accounted that for that rest, right? And when you rest, you feel like, okay, the streak's broken and I cannot continue to perform at the same level, and that's where you discourage yourself, right? So all of that needs to be thought through while you're looking at it. You need to encourage yourself instead of being a self critic, right? So burnout, it's more of an energy problem. Focus on sustainable pace instead of short bursts of, hey, I'm going to do it tomorrow itself. Maybe not, right? Think of sustainable pace. Some of the goals are achieved over years of consistent work, right? Okay, so if you have to put all of this together, things that we have discussed so far, there is this framework that I want to take you with you, and you can definitely take a screenshot of this, right? This will help you remember how you need to focus on the self leadership piece. Number one is priorities. You need to focus on your priorities. The fewer and the clearer the priorities are. Let's talk about clarity of these priorities, right? So when you say weight loss, uh, now think about weight loss, right? That's an end result. But if you want to focus on weight loss, a couple of things that you need to do is the food that you're going to eat and the kind of workout that you will do. So if you just tell yourself that as per the priority, your goal is to eat healthy and controlled portions, right? That will become a very specific priority for you. Similarly, I have to work out at least 15 minutes a day, at least 6 days a week. So that becomes your priority. And then you can further detail it, further clarify it as to whether you will go to the gym, whether you will go for a jog, and that will help you with clarity on what you want to achieve instead of just thinking about weight loss because weight loss is your end result, right? It's a byproduct of the consistent work that you have put in. Okay, and then you break it down into every week. What is it that you're going to do? At the end of the week, tell yourself, hey, at least three days I worked out, right? At least 3 days I did this. Next week I'm going to do four, and that's how you encourage yourself. Self talk, positive self talk is what reinforces your consistency, right? Action, small daily steps. And that's what we have been talking about since the beginning. Small daily steps does not have to be big. Even if you just did A out of A, B, C, D that you wanted to do, that is enough. That will help you, right? Second, weekly reflection or daily reflection is absolutely enough. A couple of you did mention this point that you want to spend some time reflecting every day, end of the day, just to look at what all you were able to achieve as per your priorities, and then accordingly setting up the priorities for tomorrow is good enough, right? And then again, you have better clarity for tomorrow, and then you would be able to check in towards the end of the day tomorrow as well, and end of the week based on your priorities. Energy, protect it. You don't have to hustle, right? Hustle culture is not something which is very sustainable. And look at everyone, whoever tries to hustle, it's not a very sustainable thing to do. So if you're trying to build something for the long run, it you need to protect your energy. And that's where lesser priorities, but clearer priorities, small actions every day, but making sure that you take them, checking in, reflection, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, quarterly, all of that plays a key role, and that helps you protect your energy. Yeah. I'll pause here. Let me know if you have any thoughts around this at this point of time. Slow and steady, consistent wins the race. Absolutely. Right? You don't have to become a king overnight in one day. It takes time. Main thing is don't be a self-critic, and don't try to be that perfectionist. Because of that perfectionist in us, we do lose out on a lot of opportunities. Exactly, Mayuresh. People start quitting when they don't see the results of their action. And that's why your priorities don't have to be the end result itself. End result is your byproduct. Priority has to be what it is that you want to do every day, right? The action that you want to take every day. While you have your goal in mind, but the priority is that action every day. And that is what helps you get the byproduct at the end of the day, right? And when you start to enjoy the process itself, byproduct will come anyway. And that's what the focus should be on. I'll give you an example of this, right? So, in one of the first jobs that I ever did, I was a customer service representative. And there was a time when I was absolutely demotivated because I did not get the promotion. And I felt like everyone else in the team was just moving ahead and I was left behind. I was absolutely shattered, demotivated, and I felt like, hey, I'm not going to be able to do this. And that was the time when I also had some bad scores coming through. The team leader was, absolutely gave me some nasty feedback, and I was absolutely down. But then I decided that I should stop worrying about my score for some time, and let me just enjoy talking to people when I'm connecting with them for work, right? And when I started to focus on the process itself, within 2 to 3 weeks, the scores changed. I felt much better because I was enjoying that process instead of focusing on the end result. And pretty soon, my scores were pretty good. I was able to apply for the IJP, and then I was able to move to this next role. And that is when I got into the training fraternity altogether, right? So that's how focusing on that daily bit that you can do about it instead of focusing on the end result really, really works. And I'm sure a lot of you would have gone through similar experiences as well. That's a very good point, Hardik. And that's why daily things that you can do consistently is bigger than that, pump of motivation. Okay, what drains your energy most right now? Another question for you. Let's hear from you. This is again not to solve any problems right now. It is just for self-reflection, just to understand what it is that could be causing, draining your energy. I see people as the most chosen answer as of now. Self-pressure. That's what we mean by being too hard on ourselves, right? Self-pressure, self-doubt. Great. I see self-pressure, people all the way. It's not work. Work is definitely not something that drains your energy, right? That gives you satisfaction. And again, when we talk about the priorities, when we talk about being consistent instead of being that perfectionist and telling yourself that hey, you could not do this, that is what matters more. Yeah. And the moment you take care of that, the moment your priorities kick in, you might also be able to keep yourself away from some people who are draining your energy, right? Okay, let's go ahead. And now we're going to move expecting from others and getting disappointed. Expectations from others, you mean, Subhendra? Absolutely, right? And again, uh, expectations from others would be there, but what do you expect from yourself, right? That it's more about that. Focus on that. Yeah. And again, don't be too hard on yourself. Okay, let's move on from intent to execution. So when we talk about intent, all of us do have that intent, right? But then intentions also die early along with that motivation. So the moment motivation dies, intention dies. And execution fails because there is no clarity. So we need to start from not having vague plans. We need to work on the clarity, need to define the specifics of what needs to be achieved. Okay. And then, of course, mood based action is unreliable. And that's where a sudden motivation pump, you feel that, okay, now I can achieve it. It does not work like that. You need to focus on, uh, you know, the consistency. No start time. That's another thing that you need to keep in mind, right? There's not going to be a perfect time to start something. You can definitely plan things in phase that after this I will do this, but you cannot say there is going to be a start time for something particular. Okay, and self criticism after slips. Every time you make a mistake, don't be a self critic. Say that happens. Every human goes through that. I'm gonna bounce back immediately, and then bounce back. Right? Don't let it down. Let it get onto you, and let it put you down for a long time. Okay. The execution starts with clarity, not pressure. That's where we all need to focus on clarity, not pressure. Do not be a self critic. And when it comes to some of the mind shift changes that we need to make when it comes to execution, instead of saying I should, you need to tell yourself, I will do this at this time, right? Or I will do this particular day, correct? So that's how you specify what it is that you're working towards. That's how you gain clarity. Instead of big goals, and when you say weight loss, right, that is a big goal. The visible action is this week I will go to the gym at least 4 times, correct? And be realistic based on what you have been able to do in the past, based on everything else that's going on in your life, right? So be realistic so you don't beat yourself down. Self judgment is that's what needs to change to self correction. Instead of saying, hey, you know what, every time I miss this, not happening, say, you know what, I missed it again. So what? It's a process, it takes time, right? Let me continue to work on this, and you need to correct yourself slowly, right? Progress comes from direction and not perfection. I think that's pretty clear by now. So, with this, I would like to move to this last bit of the commitment. Earlier, we made a note of something that you want to achieve, a priority of yours, something that you have put off for a very long time, but you want to make that your priority. And then we also wrote about what you want to do about it tomorrow, starting tomorrow, right? So now, keeping in mind everything that we have discussed, keeping in mind the pace framework that we looked at, commit to yourself. Starting now, I will lead myself by. Finish the sentence, share it in the chat window, and then write it down maybe on your phone as a phone wallpaper, stick it on the mirror, right, or any place which you often look at. And this is what you need to remind yourself every day, making sure that you take that step instead of not taking that step at all. Thank you, Rashmita. Consistency, perfect. Let's hear some more of these. Of course, take your time, take 30 seconds. No self-criticism. That's brilliant. Yeah. Feedback is good, correction is good, learning from your mistakes is good, but being hard on yourself, self criticism definitely does not help. self-push, self-reflection, self-correction, and self-motivation. That's brilliant, Gaurav. Perfect. So while you guys are talking about things that you want to do, again, remember your steps have to be clear, your priorities have to be few but clear, and then you need to keep away distractions and focus on consistency instead of achieving the big event, right? Except where human tendencies kind of lie. Okay, perfect. Great, amazing responses there. So stick it somewhere with that sentence. I can also, just share a screenshot of this particular screen so you can think about it and work on this a little later as well. You'll find it in the chat window. Yes. Now, there is a copy of this resource that I would like to share with you. So I'm sharing that in the chat window. This resource pack is going to help you with a few things. Let me just bring it up. It's got this one page on self-leadership checklist based on the points that we have covered, the three pillars of self-leadership, right? The PACE model, it gives you a checklist of sorts, which you can take a look at every day, and that will help you work on your self-leadership uh, area. Then you also have a 30-day, in fact, it's a 21-day consistency tracker, not 30-day, because in 21 days, you usually form a habit, right? So that is something which you can definitely use. There is a reflection sheet which gives you three areas on stop, start, and continue. This will help you declutter your mind. This will help you achieve clarity on things which actually matter. And then you will be able to build consistency around this. And there are a few recommended reads and a couple of YouTube videos that you can explore further on this, right? And let me just try to add that here. Just a second. Okay, somehow it's not letting me attach this file. But yes, I will try to see how we can get it to all of you, the file. Yes, it is not letting me add it, or it's not really letting me drag and drop it as well. But yes, we'll see how we can send the file to you, and especially the recommendations, right? So with that, we kind of come to an end of the session. We focused on how discipline is alignment, not force. And absolutely, Omkar. We'll see how we can do that. My team will help me do that, right? Focus is choice and not capacity. You need to create that system to develop the focus, right? It's not about your ability, whether you can focus or not. All of us can. And consistency is a practice. It is built, it is not found, right? So all of this does not require your personality to change. It's just that you need to just put in that extra effort, consistent effort to get better slightly every day, right? So to end this year does not need a new version of you. It needs a more consistent version of you. I think this is something that you can all focus on as well. Let me share this particular picture with you so you can use it if you want to. And we have come to an end of the session. We have a few minutes left. Do let me know if there are any particular questions. And of course, before you start dropping off, I wish all of you an amazing year of great success, of being able to do what you wanted to do, right? And being able to build that consistency. Yes, Pankaj, it's a part of the self read, but let me actually just share that in the chat window here, right? Give me just a second. So here are the recommendations of books and also YouTube videos that you can explore further on this topic. Trying to copy paste it. Yes, there you go. You'll see it in the chat window. How to focus when you have an important work, but your manager wants urgent inputs as well as your colleagues. That is great point, Pradeep. So something called assertive communication really helps over there. You need to build boundaries and you need to set expectations with your manager that you are working on something which is priority, right? Which impacts the work itself, the overall team. Uh, and you need to check with your manager if you need to reprioritize because all of these inputs that the manager or the team keeps looking for that impacts the work that you're doing. So you need to work with your manager directly and seek or come to an agreement as to what's the best time to focus on something. If that time does not work for the team, maybe you need to move that particular focus time to some other time, or you need to set expectations that I will only respond after this particular time because this is my focus time, right? But talk assertively without blaming anything on anyone. Focus more on the results, and discussion will happen. Great. I do not see any other questions. So thank you so much for amazing participation, everyone. Have a great rest of the day, great rest of the year, and I'll see you soon in some other session. Thank you.